Debbie, before you go outside to read, I have a question for you. How much Spanish do you know?
I don't really know very much.
Really? That's okay. Don't worry.
Okay.
But I want you to be aware that most of the children outside are Spanish speaking, and it can be challenging to keep the whole group engaged when you're reading to English speaking children and non-English speaking children. So I have a couple of things here that I would like to share with you. Would you feel comfortable saying a couple of phrases? If I give you a list, we could practice now or we could practice later.
Sure.
And I would like to give you this to take home for you to review. Okay. But I think one of the things that makes a huge difference is even greeting the children in Spanish. So how do you say hello?
Hola.
There you go. And then, what is your name? Which I have right here.
Ah.
¿Cuál es tu nombre?
¿Cuál es tu nombre?
Mi nombre es...
Mi nombre es Debbie.
Muy bien, ¿ya ves? Tú sí sabes hablar español. Está muy bien. One of the other things you can try to do that other volunteers who don't speak Spanish have told me is really helpful is inviting mom to the mat. And
okay.
I even do it when I have a big group. So you could tell mom, would you like to sit down? And dad, you will say it. ¿Le gustaría sentarse?
¿Le gustaría sentarse?
Very good, Debbie. I'm impressed. Good for you. So you can look at these phrases that I have right here and then pick the ones that you will be most comfortable with. I don't want you doing anything that would not feel comfortable, really.
Okay.
And then we can practice later, or you can ask the children to help you.
That's a good idea.
Okay. So the other thing I have here is tips for reading aloud to children who do not speak English. So the first one would be give it some time. We have children who are slow to warm up. Sometimes you think they don't speak English, and they do. So if you give it a little bit of time, I had a volunteer who told me that by the end of the reading session, she thought that the child did not speak English. And guess what? At the end, he said, I really like that story. So I'm sure you're going to come with stories at the end of your reading session that will be kind of like that. Slow down. Sometimes we tend to read too quickly. And a lot of the children who come here are learning English, and they can benefit from really listening to the words and the story. So try changing your tone of voice, you know, and making inflections, make it fun.
Change for the characters.
There you go, you got it. So that really can make a difference. And the children just love to hear stories that are read with a lot of expression. As I said, this is the one we were talking about. Engage the parents and older siblings as partners. Especially with the Latino families, they're very family oriented. So many times you see the older sibling sitting right next to the little one, and the older one already knows English. So you can ask the older sibling to read to the baby. If you feel that you have such a big group that you might not be able necessarily to engage them in an individual session. We have a wonderful book that I can show you. I actually have one right here.
Oh.
You know, in which,
yes.
Have you seen this before?
I have.
Yeah, this is bilingual, so this will be easier for you. You know, and you don't need a lot of Spanish to be able to do this book. So you know what those are, and you can ask the children to say, ¿Qué es esto? So that they say it in Spanish. The other wonderful thing about this kind of book is that it works as an I Spy book. So,
oh, I see.
So you can, do you see what I mean? Everything that is here?
You can find them in the big picture.
That's right.
Great.
So the question will be, ¿Dónde están los patines? And then they can look for the object that you're pointing at, and they usually enjoy this activity a lot. And it's easy, you don't have to really engage in a conversation in Spanish. We have a session that is totally bilingual books or Spanish books. So as you come to read to the children every week, just feel free to look at the books that we have. There's some that will have been translated from English, like The Very Hungry Caterpillar. Do you know that book?
Yes,
It's a classic, right? So that way, Spanish is really easy because it's phonetic. The way it is on the page, that's the way you pronounce it. You don't have to think about
great.
it. So even though it might look hard on the page, once you give it a try, I think you'll be more comfortable. And that way you don't have to think about, what is the story? You already know the story because you have read it in English. And even using books in English, don't be afraid to use books in English with the Spanish-speaking children. Especially those are really simple in that they repeat the same sentence again and again. Like, you know, brown bear, or 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed. They love that one. Just a repetition, I think it's a lot of fun for them, and it helps them learn the book. It helps them also get to that feeling of, I know how to read that book, even though they don't know how to read yet, but that's a wonderful start. And don't worry, Debbie, the most important thing when you're out there is to have fun, all right? So no matter what you're doing, don't worry about the pronunciation. The children love helping you out. And if you have any concern about how to do it or how to say it, you can always come back to us and we can help you with that. Okay? Just have fun.
Good.
And enjoy
Thanks.
it.
Thanks for
Here
your
you go.
help.